Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing really well in this very moment in time, that you're remembering to be here now. That's it, right now, right here, right now. Are you being? Are you a human being right now? That's good. I hope so. I hope also that you could find something new that will inspire you in amazing ways. You could take a trip out of town, go look at something you've never seen before, go find a city you've never seen, go eat ice cream in an old-fashioned malt shop in an old-fashioned town, or maybe find a new magazine. Go to a bookstore and look at the magazine section. Maybe there's a new magazine there that you might just want to subscribe to. Go buy a magazine, and if it inspires you, do it. I used to subscribe to, I think it's called Victorian Home or the Victorian House. Well, I found 2 or 3 magazines on Victorian houses, and I lived in a house built in the 1980s, right? So I didn't have a Victorian house, but I liked looking at the pictures and imagining what life was like back then. It really inspired me. It brought me a great deal of joy for some weird reason. And Mother Earth News magazine inspires me as well. And last night when I was doing my show about all the things that you can do now, actions you could take now, and also things you could plan for your future so that you'll always have a home that will never burn down, and you'll always have food that you grow yourself that's organic and good for you, and that you always have water even if you're living in the city and somehow the grid shuts down. I mean, I gave you some good information last night, so if you didn't hear it, and a lot of you didn't, I want you to go back and try to listen to it, because even if you live in the city and you have no plans or no money to move out in the country or have your own place, I'm still giving you information that could help you in 1 or 2 small ways. Maybe could help your parents or your cousins and get their little garden or whatever going. But I gave you some good information there. So, I know it's like it was off the beaten path, but as I promised, all unique and original programming every single day. So at least for 1 year, we'll see. We're going to reevaluate at the end and see what else we can do. Maybe I'll keep going every single day, or maybe I'll take the weekends off or take Sunday off, or maybe I'll get a guest speaker. Maybe I'll get a guest host for the weekends. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I have until January 3rd to figure it out. Or January 2nd technically, but you get the drift. So one thing that I discovered while looking at Mother Earth News magazine yesterday is that, and this is all online, I can't even get the magazines delivered here, I don't believe, but I found a magazine called Fermentation, which sounds really strange, but it's you can find it at myfermentation.com, and that's just spelled my, and fermentation is spelled fermentation.com. And I was kind of excited about this because I found out that fermented foods are good for you because of probiotics. Now, maybe I'm slow on the uptake and you guys already knew this, It's very possible. I always heard that they were bad for you in some, like I've heard, like I was on a diet and my naturopathic doctor said, no, stay away from all fermented foods. In fact, anything that grows underground, no root vegetables, no carrots, no peanuts that grow underground. Isn't that weird? Peanuts grow underground. The plant grows above ground, but the peanuts themselves like come from the dirt. Totally weird, right? Anyway, so like we're literally eating dirt butter. We have peanut butter. So weird. Anyway, so yeah, he was like, no, don't eat anything fermented. No apple cider vinegar. I don't want you to have, he said no yogurt, no dairy, no nothing that could have bacteria in it whatsoever. And that was it. And I had something, I don't know if it was a leaky gut syndrome thing, which I no longer have. I took the Jello every day for 6 months and now I'm fine. But it was either that, I don't know what it was. All my organs were shutting down one at a time. And he thought maybe I had a systemic mold infection or yeast. Oh, it was yeast. That's what it was. It was yeast infection. So he's like, no fermented foods, no pickles, no this, no that. He says, even though they say you can, I'm thinking, no. Just be on the safe side. So, and I got rid of that and I'm fine and I don't have the yeast issue anymore and, everything's fine. But so I was excited, though, to discover that there's more probiotics in a cup of a sauerkraut than you will find in 8 bottles of expensive probiotics at the store. I mean, I'm not all that fond of sauerkraut, but I mean, that's a lot healthier for you. And a lot more healthy for your wallet. I mean, that's at least like $120 worth of probiotics. So I started looking into this. Anyway, myfermentation.com is the website. I'm going to recommend this because I've been looking at it since yesterday. It is incredible. They teach you how to make beer and wine and yogurt, your own kefir. Meat and fish looked a little weird to me, but how to cure meat, how to make it dry, how to make Italian salami, which, did you guys know it was like raw meat and then it's dried out? Ew, I stopped eating that as soon as I found out. But it's not terrible for you, but I thought that was weird. Some of this stuff looks weird. Spicy fermented eggs, I don't think so. Gross. I'm not going to do that. But some of these things looked amazing, like how to make fruit vinegar. Well, everyone's heard of apple cider vinegar, but did you ever hear of peach vinegar or banana vinegar? That opens up a whole new possibility because I like to use vinegar as a marinade. I mix it with other stuff, and so you don't get the vinegary taste, when you mix it with other stuff, to marinate meats, chicken or whatever. But I take the vinegar and I mix herbs and spices into it, and garlic and onions and sometimes fruit or vegetables, and I mix it and I mix it all up really good and then soak the meat in it for a couple hours, and then the flavor penetrates and it's like so good, right? But I can't imagine like what peach vinegar would be really good. What if you did a mango peach vinegar and you put that on your chicken for a tropical style dish. Anyway, so I got really inspired by this. I thought this was really, really cool. Also, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world is sourdough bread from San Francisco. 8 easy steps to making the perfect sourdough bread. Oh my God, I didn't realize how easy it was. I read through this article yesterday and I was like, what? Sourdough bread is so easy. Also, it has probiotics in it. That I also didn't know. And you don't have to make sourdough bread out of wheat. You can make it out of any other flour. Maybe, just maybe, you can make it out of avena flour, oatmeal flour, ground oats. Right? I mean, I've had oat bread, so why not oat sourdough bread? Also, I was thinking about trying to look for rye flour to make rye bread. So I thought that would be really good too. I love rye bread. I don't like the pumpernickel seeds that they put sometimes in it, but I do like rye bread. And I thought, well, and pumpernickel bread is good. I love it without the seeds. Pumpernickel bread, I'm not sure, I might be wrong about this. I always thought it was like rye bread with chocolate powder in it, which makes it dark brown. Just like the cake, red velvet cake is that deep, dark, rich red color because it's red food dye mixed with chocolate powder. A lot of people don't know that, or maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong about that? I think I'm right about that. Anyway, I love red velvet cake, and you just don't get any red velvet cake in South America. I would like the top bakers of the United States to come down here, go to the bakeries, gather up all the bakers, and teach them the secrets of like buttercream frosting and red velvet cake and how to make a really good cheesecake. Because the cheesecakes here sometimes are okay, but I've never had like a New York cheesecake that just knocked my socks off here. And I don't eat a lot of stuff like this, like maybe only a couple times a year. But when I do, I don't want to be disappointed, The one thing that one place I found actually does right is chocolate cake that, it's like 75% cacao. It's like super bitter, like dark bitter chocolate. And yet they have like a light, fluffy ganache in between the layers. And it's like a 10-layer cake. It's incredible, but they're really tiny layers. And then the frosting it's not buttercream. It's really good though. And then on top, they sprinkle gold into it. And they put like a cherry on top. And it's just like, oh my God. It's so amazing. It's like some of the best chocolate, but it's all Ecuadorian grown chocolate. And so there's only one dessert in this whole town. And I've lived here 2 years. This month, 2 years. And there's only one dessert. I'm like, God, that's like kind of a bummer, a couple times my son came home with donuts like last year. We don't eat that now, but last year we were on a donut kick. We were going all over town looking for donuts. And it was like, some of them they were fried in lard or something. Like, ew, you're not supposed to do that, and I wish the Krispy Kreme would open up here. Actually, it would throw everyone else out of business. So I hope they never come, but they did move over to Colombia, so that was weird. There's at least one Krispy Kreme donuts there, and there's Dunkin' Donuts in Colombia and Peru. If you guys didn't know that, isn't that weird? Dunkin' Donuts. That was like so surprising. Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are like not even in Ecuador anywhere. I've never seen them, but in Colombia and Peru they are. So it was just weird. Every now and again we go to Dunkin' Donuts and then be disappointed because they're not Randy's Donuts in LA, and they're not they're not Krispy Kreme, and they're not, what is that other one? Winchell's. Oh my God. When I was a kid, I grew up on Winchell's Donuts. It's no wonder I grew up with really bad asthma, right? Wheat is so bad for you. I want to make stuff out of really healthy. I want to take the things like that aren't very good and then make it with super healthy ingredients. Like you could make stuff with stevia or, with oatmeal flour instead of wheat. Wheat is just bad for everybody all the way around. But I'm excited, like fermenting milk kefir using coconuts, like coconut milk kefir recipe. I'm looking at this stuff going, that sounds so freaking amazing. Miso soup, which I also love, another fermented food, which is excellent. I do have a favorite Japanese place I go to. I don't eat sushi, but I like tempura and also miso soup. And then he has some pretty good sake and tea. And so every now and again, I like to go to have really good Japanese food. But I don't know if you guys are interested in fermenting your own food, like making your own apple ciders or hard cider. Once you have fruit ciders, you could turn into hard cider really easily and make your own alcohol, that's always fun. My oldest kid was always interested in this stuff, and I was always find like jars of weird stuff in his room. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, don't touch that. I'm making alcohol. I'm like, oh my God. And sometimes he comes stumbling out of his room. Oh my God, did you drink the whole jar? Well, of course, Mom. I'm like, oh my God. It's just, I don't know, when you have really smart kids, I guess. Yeah, so I thought I would mention this in case you're into this, but if not, find the thing that you're interested in, you know? Today I saw a really nice mountain bike. It was $1,500. It did not look any different than the $500 bike, and I'm still like, but it's a $500 bike. Like, what the hell? Why is it so expensive? I don't get it, you know? I used to have a $500 mountain bike, but my mountain bike was really, really specialized, and I even added $200 worth of stuff to it. And I couldn't believe this bike was just like a normal, out of like a department store. How is it $500? It makes no sense. But the other one being $1,500, it didn't look any, I don't know, maybe it had extra gear. It didn't even look like it had 2 sets of gear shifts. I don't know. But I was thinking, oh, I might want a mountain bike again. You know, we could see. Let's see, maybe someday I'll get back into mountain biking. I used to bike 150 to 200 miles every week. You know, in between classes and work, I was always very busy. But I don't know, just I want you guys to look at the thing that is going to really just inspire you, you know, like go to an art gallery, go to a concert, go to the opera if you've never been to the opera, and let me know how it is, because I've never been. I want to go to the opera someday. Go to the zoo and maybe take some pastels and a pad of paper and sit and draw your favorite animal, you know, or take pictures of your favorite animal and then draw your favorite animal. So if you don't finish the art by the time the zoo closes, you could come back, or you could at least finish it at home. You know, do something that's going to be super, super inspirational. Like go to a gourmet restaurant and, you know, see their menu, and then go home and make your own menu and make your own gourmet food, you know? You know, like have your neighbors come over and say, I'm going to make you a gourmet meal tonight. And then they come over and serve these enormous plates with a teeny tiny grape in the middle of it, and just say, hey, it's a bacon stuffed grape. I don't know. It's my impression of gourmet restaurants, but you can make your own stuff at home. I mean, my son hasn't had jalapeno poppers from Costco. Remember those? Did you guys ever go there? Did you ever eat those? Sinful bastards that they are. I mean, oh my God, they'll make you so fat so fast. And so I was so glad to move away from Costco. You have no idea. But I miss Costco. I mean, oh my God, some of the best coffee I ever had was in San Francisco Coffee Company, in these giant 2 or 3 pound bags. It was like phenomenal from Costco. But yeah, my son comes home the other day and he's like, okay, check it out. And he had bought this cheese from the Italian cheesemaker downtown. He bought, you know, we already had bacon. He bought jalapeno poppers and he made his own. And he didn't bread them. He made it like the super healthy version that he possibly could. It was amazing. I was like, so impressed. Like really, really good. You know, so he's like, yeah, we don't need them. We don't need their stuff. We don't need the commercial stuff. We'll make everything at home. And he reverse engineered the recipe out of his own mind and made it even better with bacon, right? He was like, this has got to be the best thing ever. He's like, I'm going to make appetizers, Mom. And he spends most of his time looking at people making food, and he wants to go to chef school. I'm like, this is so cool. So anyway, whatever it is that surprises you and makes you think and makes you wonder, things that will make you stay up at night because you can't sleep, you're so excited. That's the kind of inspiration I'm just bringing up. I want you guys to look into it. What is going to be the thing that you can't think of? You know, like, or you can't think without thinking of that, is what I mean. Like, some people obsess about their sweethearts. They're always thinking about their boyfriend or girlfriend. Well, what if you could think of something or bring about something, especially if you're single, and then you think about your exes, or you think about what you don't have, and you're always focusing on what you want and you don't have it, and then you get depressed. What if you could replace those thoughts with something that just really inspires you, to no end? Like when I bought a sewing machine, I just sewed everything, man. I made slip covers for my couch. I made curtains, I made tablecloths, I made pillows, I made all kinds of stuff. And then when my first kid came along, and I made her, for her first birthday, I made her a little apron that matched an apron I made for myself. So I made little matching, mother-daughter aprons, which, looking back, I kind of regret dressing her like a girl. I didn't know she was transgender at the time, but, live and learn. But I'm like, yeah, mommy-daughter aprons. And then we went to people's birthday parties, and we kept getting invited because they knew I was going to make them aprons. They thought that was the most adorable thing ever. So I made everybody aprons. That was my gift to everybody. I made them homemade gifts, and I was super inspired by that for a while. And I made both my kids their baby blankets, and then I both made them. Actually, I never made my youngest one a quilt, so I maybe owe him a quilt. But I made my oldest one a quilt, and it was really inspirational. And I put like little secret pockets, and it was like super fun. For me, that was like sewing, fiber arts. It was super fun for a while. I'm a very creative person, as you can tell, but whatever it is that inspires you, maybe taking an electronics course or going back to night school to get a degree in computer engineering, maybe you're a very technical person, so if that inspires you, do that, Anyway, that's just there's my 5 cents on that one. I'm going to get into the Schumann Resonance. Italian Schumann Resonance, they only say 15. They say, today the calm has been almost total, very slight variations have reached, power 15, between 6 and 10 a.m. That's it. Boom, 15. Yeah, they're boring over there. They were exciting for a few days, but I don't know. Now, when we look at the Schumann Resonance's power in heartmath.org, which, yay, after 2 whole days, they're back, baby. The biggest number that we missed when they were gone was on the 2nd, 2 days ago at 1700 hours, and that was at 234, and that's in Hululu, South Africa. So we're going to start with today, though. We're not going to go back for 2 days and reiterate. So California started off at 61 Hertz frequency and ended at 63. Hofuf, Saudi Arabia, started off at 0, and they're doing the zeroed out thing, completely zero all the way across. Let me see, and go back to Halloween. They were at 1. They were at 0 at 1800 hours on Halloween, and they've been at 0 ever since in Hofuf, Saudi Arabia. That's really trippy, right? Because 2 of the other places have done this now. So it's weird we're keeping an eye on this and noticing. I'm starting to notice a pattern, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out more, if it's a pattern or just totally freaking chaotic and random. We'll find out. Lithuania started off at 91 Hertz frequency at midnight, and by 4 a.m. they were at 95 Hertz frequency. And Alberta, Canada, started off at 92 Hertz frequency at midnight, went up to 95 by 4 a.m. They went up to 94, and 95 was Lithuania. So they're like kind of neck and neck. That's very weird. That's very, very weird. All right. And all these are, except for one, is in triple digits. Everyone else, well, okay, 4 places in double digits and 1 is 0, obviously. All right, never mind. I'm like, is there a pattern there too? No, there's not. Okay. So Alberta, Canada, and then after that, okay, so we go Northland, New Zealand is at 47 Hertz frequency, and they ended up at 4 a.m. at 49 Hertz frequency. And let's see here, more. So in Hululu, South Africa, they started off at 110 Hertz frequency and went up to 118. And that was the winner for the whole night, was Hululu. But they've been very high up there lately. So there it is. On Why So Serious 24D, Sarah O'Brien had a very strange revelation. I don't know if it's 100% true or not. I have not checked with my higher guidance, but I have a feeling she's right about this. She says that, there's massive crystals in the earth, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen the pictures from Mexico, but someone discovered a cave and decided to explore it, and it was super, super, super hot in the cave because of obviously magma flowing underneath the cave. But they discovered these crystals that were like 20 feet tall. Crystals, like quartz crystals, like gorgeous, enormous white crystals, and some of them I think were pink, like rose quartz. The most beautiful, amazing crystals you've ever seen. I mean, incredibly huge crystals. So Sarah O'Brien said that, and these crystals are all over the planet. Obviously, they've got to be in different places anyway. But check this theory out. She said she did a meditation on it because the booms that are happening all over the planet have shaken people for years now. Just, everyone's sitting there and all of a sudden, boom, and it sounds like a massive explosion, but there's no explanation and no one knows where it came from. And the town's sheriffs are usually called and they're like, we don't know. And all these booms, and they're all over the planet. Well, she did a meditation, and her higher guidance told her that it was these crystals are getting overloaded with energy. They can only take so much Hertz frequency and so much energy before they send energy back. And they're sending the energy from the center of the earth, or from just below the surface of the earth, to the surface of the earth. And there's things like volcanoes and earthquakes and all these other things happening. But she also mentioned like a few days ago that there was this massive pushback. The sun sent a bunch of power, bunch of energy our way, and the earth pushed it back. And now she's didn't really put the dots totally together, but she's kind of on that verge of conclusion. I think that those crystals pushed it back. Oh, you're going to send me your sun stuff? Well, here's our earth stuff, baby. Boom. Sent it back. And it was captured by NASA. It's on their website, that this happened. Like, she shows it on Why So Serious 24D YouTube channel. When she's got the data directly from NASA. That the earth is just shoving a bunch of energy now towards the sun. It's always felt like that the sun is always shoving his stuff on us, and Mother Earth is just like, whatever, just taking it. And she finally exploded at the sun directly. It wasn't just in general energy flying from the earth, it was energy flying towards the sun. I mean, it's almost like they're having a fight, and he's been arguing and bickering, and she's been quiet, and just like, finally she's like, that's it, I put my foot down, can't take it no more, and she explodes at him. That's what it feels like. I don't know if it's I mean, it's probably not what's going on, but it's weird, because that's never happened before that we know of. But now these booms, right? And they've been happening for years. I remember hearing about this 20 years ago, but it wasn't as common as now. And people are like, what is this? And you go to Tyler's channel at Secure Team 10 on YouTube, and he's just like, these mysterious booms. He started mapping them on a map on the United States, and they're following a pattern. They're following a direct line. He has the patterns in which, and so he's like, is this underground mining? What is happening? He's trying to speculate, but then when you put it together with Sarah's stuff and you think, well, you know what? Maybe there literally truly is grids around the earth. Maybe ley lines are really real. And maybe these lines are created by crystals deep in the earth. There has been for decades speculation that there is crystals underneath Hawaii. Massive, massive, massive crystals underneath Hawaii. I think I heard from someone that they were maybe amethyst crystals. Might have been Doreen Virtue, ironically, who she doesn't believe in crystals anymore or in anything spiritual. I have no idea what the hell that's about. But anyway, She literally wrote the books, the dozens and dozens of the books on a lot of the modern day beliefs that people hold. She wrote the books on them. And now she's like, oh, it was all from the devil. Oh, whatever. She even said the devil doesn't exist before. Finally, she encountered a demon and went back to Jesus. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her, but God bless her. I hope she's doing okay, and I hope she's had her brain checked lately, because last time I heard of this happening was Elizabeth Clare Prophet, and I don't know what was going on in her brain, but she had a really amazing gift of literally prophecy. Even though her name was Prophet, she didn't make it that way. It's just she was born that way with that name, but she was psychic, and she was really incredible. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she went crazy and turned out she had brain cancer, and she died. God rest her soul of that. And some of her stuff, I was like, I don't know. I mean, her earlier stuff was good, and this stuff is a little off. But I don't know. I'm writing a book right now, and I start writing at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. And when I went to read it in the afternoon, a year later, it was this book is insane. It's I don't know if I can even put it out there. So I'm going to have to rewrite all the things I wrote, because I'm just not a morning person. So I'm not saying that I'm so sane and she was completely insane, because I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm completely insane. It's very possible. Who the hell knows? Insane people never know that they're insane, right? A little fact I learned from MASH when I was a kid. From Klinger. All right. Let's see. Lesson 147 in A Course in Miracles.org or acim.org for the Foundation of Inner Peace. You can go ahead and download an app, or you can just go to acim.org. It's free, no matter what you do. If you want to take the lessons and really get into it and study these lessons, you might want to do the January 1st. It might be a good time to start the lessons and really get into them. Practice the things every day. It will help you 100% clear out everything from your past. You're just going to forgive everything, and it'll be fine. I know that there's a lot of things as I go into these lessons deeper and deeper that it's really helping me. So I hope it's helping you guys too. Okay, lesson 147 begins with the main thought for this review period. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. The thought taken from lesson 133, I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. Taken from lesson 134, this is the main idea. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. All right, I hope you guys get something out of that. All right, when I come back, we're going to read The Spirits book by Allan Kardec, written 162 years ago in 1857. We are on page 162 out of 429, so I think we're on part 8. So this is going to be like a 25-parter. Some more or less. I had no idea this was what I was getting into when I started this, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. I absolutely love this book, even though he gets super long-winded. I don't know. Is it a French thing, or is it just an Allan Kardec thing? But he's very interesting and speculative in the way he thinks. I really like the way his mind works, so I've been happy to read this book. I hope you're enjoying it too. Sometimes it gets a little weird and snarky because the spirits get kind of irritated with them, it sounds like. But overall, I'm loving the information. So when I come back after these messages, we're going to go back to question 258 under choice of trials. It was the very tail end of the last chapter we were reading, it was so excessively long. I just had to stop. It was too much information. It was like, the show was like super long, and I had to stop in the middle of a chapter. Crazy, right? But the chapters, I've noticed in this book and the other book we're reading, as the books go on, the chapters get longer. So I don't know if that was a thing back in those days, or I don't know, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to come right back after these messages with Choice of Trials and question 258 in Allan Kardec's The Spirits book. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. As stated in previous weeks, this book became a rapid sensation in Paris, in all the salons where they were trying to contact the spirits of the dead, and it became very fashionable to want to talk to people on the other side. And everyone and their uncle were trying to make a buck on this, and some of the people were real and some of the people were fake. And Allan Kardec found 4 people, 2 of them living in one house, and then 3 other, actually 5 people, because 2 of them were sisters, and then there's 3 other mediums, and they didn't know each other, and they had no way of knowing about each other really. But he went and he did all these tests scientifically, and he was checking everyone's answers against everyone else's answers, and it turns out the spirits are telling him the same thing through 5 different people. One of the sisters would draw pictures, one would do automatic writing, other people would just be like taken over and they would become a direct channel. Other people use telepathy, all the different methods, but all the answers were the same. And it became such a sensation that it was translated into other languages. Books were sent to Spain, books were sent to in Spanish, and they were sent to Brazil in Portuguese. What I'm reading to today is translated from French to Portuguese to English. So every now and again there's a word that's a glitch, but I'm going to do my best to figure out what the hell it used to say or should be saying. And also just keep in mind, it's just he's asking the questions, the spirits are answering, so this is like powerful information. And when the Catholic Church got wind of it, they got really scared. They thought it was undermining their authority, and hence began the European book burnings of this book. But too late. There was already thousands of copies in Brazil. And so we have this book today because it had been internationally received and became extremely famous. So the Catholic Church did what they could to eradicate the knowledge of this book, but oh well, they didn't like the fact that reincarnation was spoken of, because that means they have no authority, because you're not going to be Catholic in your next life. So see ya, suckers. I mean, okay, that was just me, but that's how I feel. I'm sorry that when you become a religion that talks about cannibalism and harbors a bunch of sexual predators of children, sorry, see ya, suckers. It's over. I don't like the frickin' frackers, no. All right, choice of trials. We're going to continue with the last chapter we left off in. Question 258. In the state of erraticity and before taking on a new corporeal existence, does a spirit foresee the things which will happen to him in that new existence? The spirit's answer: he chooses for himself the kind of trials he will undergo, and it is in this freedom of choice that his free will consists. See, this is why I think I'm an idiot, because all the crap I've gone through in this life, why? Oh my God. Why did I pick all this stuff? All right. The follow-up question: it is not God then who imposes upon him the tribulations of life as a chastisement? And the spirits say, nothing comes to pass without the permission of God, for it is he who has established all the laws that rule the universe. You would have to inquire why he has made such and such a law instead of taking some other way. In giving to a spirit the liberty of choice, he leaves to him the entire responsibility of his acts and of their consequences. There's nothing to bar his future. The right road is open to him as freely as the wrong road. But if he succumbs, there still remains to him the consoling fact that all is not over with him, and that God in his goodness allows him to recommence the task which he has done badly. You must, moreover, always distinguish between what is the work of God's will and what is the work of man's will. If a danger threatens you, it is not you who have created the danger, but God. But you have voluntarily elected to expose yourself to this danger because you have seen in so doing a means of advancement, and God has permitted you to do so. Question 259. If the spirit has the choice of the kind of trials which he will undergo, does it follow that all the tribulations we experience in the earthly life have been foreseen and chosen by us? The spirits say, it would not be correct to say that such has been the case with all of them. For you cannot be said to have chosen and foreseen all the things which happen to you in this life, and all their details. You have chosen the kind of trial to which you are subjected. The details of this trial are a consequence of the general situation which you have chosen, and are often the result of your own actions. If, for instance, a spirit has chosen to be born among malefactors, he knew to what kind of temptations he was exposing himself, but not malefactors. I'm sorry, guys, for the sexism, assuming that all men are like what, bad? Okay, sorry. I don't assume that. Everyone's an individual. Okay, whatever. All right. He knew to what kind of temptations he was exposing himself. That not... Why am I hearing YMCA? Sorry, just... maybe just exposing himself or male factor. I don't know. Let me read that again. If, for instance, a spirit is chosen to be born among male factors, he knew to what kind of temptations he was exposing himself. Can't get through that sentence. But not each one of his actions which he would accomplish. Those actions are the effect of his volition, of his free will. A spirit knows that in choosing such and such a road, he will have such and such a kind of struggle to undergo. He knows, therefore, the nature of the vicissitudes which he will encounter, but he does not know whether these will present themselves under one form or under another. The details of events spring from circumstances and the force of things. It is only the leading events of his new life, those which will exercise a determining effect on his destiny, that are foreseen by him. If you enter upon a road full of ruts, you know that you must walk very warily because you run a risk of stumbling. But you do not know the exact place where you're going to stumble, and it may be that if you are sufficiently on your guard, you will not stumble at all. If when you are passing along a street, a tile falls upon your head, you must not suppose that it was written as the common saying is. Question 260. Can a spirit choose to be born among those who are leading a bad life? The answer from the spirits: it is necessary for him to be sent into the conditions which will furnish the elements of the trial that he has demanded. To this end, there must be a correspondence between the imperfection of which he desires to free himself and the social surroundings into which he is born. For example, if he have to struggle against the instinct of brigandage. What the hell is brigandage? Oh my God, it's French. It must be French, and they didn't change it. It says, so if he has to struggle against the instinct of brigandage, it is necessary for him to be thrown among brigands. What? Is that brigandage? Is that like a bandage made of brie? What the hell is brigandage? I mean, I'm reasonably intelligent, but some of these words... Okay, some of the words exist on this planet. Okay. What the F? Okay, just wait. This gets weirder. Follow-up question. I swear to God, I don't even know what this is meant to be. If then there were no evil livers upon the earth. Oh, people who live, not hígado, not livers next to your gallbladder. If there were no evil livers. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Asafar. I'm drunk because of my evil liver. It's not me. It's the evil liver inside me. Oh my God, I'm going to heckle the hell out of this book. All right, sorry. Okay, the spirits answer, if then there were no evil livers upon the earth, spirits could not find in it the conditions necessary to certain kinds of trial. Okay, they didn't say this, sorry. He's asking this as a follow-up question. Maybe he means like evil doers. Okay, if then there were no evil livers upon the earth, spirits could not find in it the conditions necessary to certain kinds of trial. Oh, okay. All right, I get it now. The spirits answer, would there be any reason for complaining if such were the case? The case you suppose is that of the worlds of higher order to which evil has no access, and which are therefore inhabited only by good spirits. Try to bring about such a state of things as soon as possible in your earth. Yeah, right. We're trying. It's called impeachment. Okay, sorry. Question 261. Is it necessary for the spirit, in the course of the trials to which he has to submit in order to arrive at perfection, to undergo every sort of temptation? Must he encounter all the circumstances that can excite him, in him pride, jealousy, avarice, sensuality, etc.? The spirits answer, certainly not, since there are, as you know, many spirits who take from the beginning a road which spares them the necessity of undergoing many of those trials. But he who suffers himself to be drawn into the wrong road exposes himself to all the dangers of that road. A spirit, for instance, may ask for riches, and his demand may be granted. And in that case, he will become, according to his character, either avaricious or prodigal, selfish or generous, and will make a noble use of his wealth or waste it on vanity and sensuality. But this does not imply that he will be compelled to run the gauntlet of all the evil tendencies that may be fostered by the possession of riches. Oh, there you go. Okay, question 262. As a spirit at its origin is simple, ignorant, and without experience, how can he make an intelligent choice of an existence, and how can he be responsible for such a choice? The spirits answer, God supplies what is lacking through his inexperience, by tracing out for him the road which he has to follow, as you do for the infant in its cradle. But he allows him little by little to become the master of his choice, in proportion as his free will becomes developed. And it is then that he often loses his way and takes the wrong road. If he does not listen to the advice of the good spirits who endeavor to instruct him, it is this which may be called the fall of man. Follow-up question. When a spirit is in possession of his free will, does the choice of his corporeal existence always depend solely on his own volition, or is this existence sometimes imposed upon him by God as an expiation? The spirits say, God can afford to wait. He never hurries the work of expiation. Nevertheless, God does sometimes impose an existence upon a spirit when the latter, through his ignorance or his obstinacy, is incapable of perceiving what would be to his advantage, and when he sees that this existence may subserve his purification and advancement, while furnishing him also with the conditions of expiation. Question 263. Do spirits make their choice immediately after death? The spirits say no. Many of them believe their sufferings to be eternal. You have already been told that this is a chastisement. Question 264. What is it that decides a spirit's choice of the trials which he determines to undergo? The spirits say he chooses those which may serve to expiate faults and at the same time help him to advance more quickly. In view of these ends, some may impose themselves a life of poverty privations in order to exercise themselves in bearing them with courage. Others may wish to test their powers of resistance by temptations of fortune and of power, much more dangerous because of the bad use that may be made of them, and the evil passions that may be developed by them. Others, again, may desire to strengthen their good resolutions by having to struggle against the influence of vicious surroundings. Cool. 265. If some spirits elect to expose themselves to the contact of vice as a trial of their virtue, may it not be that others make a similar choice from a desire to live amidst surroundings in unison with their depraved tastes, and in which they may give free course to their sensual tendencies? The spirits say, such instances undoubtedly occur, but only among those whose moral sense is still but imperfectly developed. In such cases, the needed trial occurs spontaneously, and they are subjected to it for a longer time. Sooner or later, they will understand that indulgence of the animal instincts lead to disastrous consequences, which they will undergo during a period so long that it will seem to them to be eternal. And God sometimes leaves them in this state until they've comprehended the gravity of their fault and demand of their own accord to be allowed to repair it by undergoing trials of a profitable nature. Question 266. Does it not seem natural to make choice of such trials as are least painful? And the spirits say, from your point of view, it would seem to be so, but not from the point of spirit. When he is freed from materiality, his illusions cease, and he thinks differently. Boy, I'll say. All right. Now he has a long diatribe. I mean, he has a commentary on this. Okay, I'm the snarky one tonight. Sorry, guys. I'm in that mood, I guess. All right, so Allan Kardec himself, he says, man, while upon the earth and subjected to the influence of carnal ideas, sees only the painful aspect of the trials he is called upon to undergo, and it therefore appears to him to be natural to choose the trials that are allied to material enjoyments. But when he is returned to spirit life, he compares those gross and fugitive enjoyments with the unchangeable felicity of which he obtains occasional glimpses, and judges that such felicity will be cheaply purchased by a little temporary suffering. Okay. A spirit may therefore make choice of the hardest trial, and consequently of the most painful existence, in the hope of thereby attaining more rapidly to a happier state, just as a sick man often chooses the most unpalatable medicine in the hope of obtaining a more rapid cure. He who aspires to immortalize his name by the discovery of an unknown country. Ooh, unknown country, Whitley Strieber. Sorry. He who aspires to immortalize his name by the discovery of an unknown country does not seek a flowery road. He takes a road which will bring him the most surely to the aim he has in view, and he's not deterred from following it even by dangers it may offer. On the contrary, he braves those dangers for the sake of the glory he will win if he succeeds. The doctrine of our freedom is the choice of our successive existences and of the trials which we have to undergo ceases to appear strange when we consider that spirits, being freed from matter, judge of things differently than men. They perceive the ends which these trials are intended to work out, ends far more important for them than the fugitive enjoyments of earth. After each existence, they see the steps they have already accomplished. They comprehend what they will still lack for the attainment of the purity which alone enable them to reach the goal, and they willingly submit to the vicissitudes of corporeal life, demanding of their own accord to be allowed to undergo those which will aid them to advance most rapidly. There is therefore nothing surprising in a spirit making choice of a hard or painful life. He knows he cannot, in his present state of imperfection, enjoy the perfect happiness to which he aspires, but he obtains glimpses of that happiness, and he seeks to effect his own improvement as the sole means to its attainment. Do we not every day witness examples of a similar choice? What is the action of the man who labors without cessation or repose to amass a property which wilt enable him eventually to live in comfort, but the discharge of a task which he has voluntarily assumed as a means of ensuring for himself a more prosperous future. The soldier who offers himself for the accomplishment of a perilous mission, the traveler who braves dangers no less formidable in the interest of science or of his own fortune, are examples of the voluntary incurring of hardships for the sake of the honor or profit that will result from their successful endurance. What will not men undergo for gain or for glory? Is not every sort of competitive examination a trial to which men voluntarily submit in the hope of obtaining advancement in the career they have chosen? He who would gain a high position in science, art, industry, is obliged to pass through all the lower degrees which lead up to it, and which constitute so many trials. Human life is thus seen to be modeled on spirit life, presenting the same vicissitudes on a smaller scale. And as in the earthly life, we often make choice of the hardest conditions as means to the attainment of the highest ends, why should not a disincarnate spirit who sees farther than he saw when incarnated in an earthly body, and for whom the bodily life is only a fugitive incident, make choice of a laborious or painful existence if it may lead him or towards an eternal felicity? Those who say that, since spirits have the power of choosing their existences, they will demand to be princes and millionaires, are like the purblind, who only see what they touch, or like greedy children, who, when asked what occupation they would prefer to follow, reply that they would like to be pastry cooks or confectioners. What? What? That's just greedy children, pastry, what? I don't know. So many things there. That's not what the spirits are saying, but it's what his ideas are. It is with the spirit as with a traveler who, in the depths of a valley obscured by fog, sees neither the length nor the extremities of his road. When he's reached the top of the hill, the fog is cleared away. His view takes in both the road along which he has come and by that which he still has to go. He sees a point which he still has to reach and the obstacles he has to overcome in reaching it. Thus, he's able to make the measures for successfully accomplishing his journey. A spirit, while incarnated, is like that traveler at the foot of the hill. When freed from terrestrial trammels, he is like the traveler who has reached the top of the hill. The aim of the traveler is to obtain rest after fatigue. The aim of the spirit is to attain perfect happiness after trials and tribulations. Spirits say that in the state of erraticity, they seek, study, observe in order to make their choice wisely. Have we not examples of analogous action in corporeal life? Do we not often spend years in deciding on what career? It says literally, in deciding on me career upon which. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Do we not often spend years in deciding upon which career at length we freely fix our choice because we consider it to be the one which we are most likely to succeed? If after all we fail in the one we have chosen, we seek out another, and each career thus embraced by us constitutes a phase, a period of our life. Is not each day employed by us in deciding what we shall do on the morrow? You mean tomorrow? And what for a spirit are his different corporeal existences, but so many phases, periods, days in comparison with his spirit life, which, as we know, is his normal life, the corporeal life being only a transitional passage. All right. Right, okay. Question 267. Can a spirit make his choice while in the corporeal state? The answer of the spirits: his desire may exercise a certain amount of influence according to the quality of his intention, but when he returns to spirit life, he often judges things very differently. It is only as a spirit that he makes his choice, but he may nevertheless make it during the material life, for a spirit, even while incarnated, has occasional moments in which he is independent of the matter he inhabits. All right. Maybe they mean astral projection there. This isn't really a question, but he says to the spirits, well, many persons desire earthly greatness and riches, but not assuredly either as expiation or as a trial. And the spirits say, undoubtedly, in such cases, it is their material instinct which desires greatness in order to enjoy its satisfactions. The spirit could only desire it in order to understand its vicissitudes. Question 268. Until a spirit has reached the state of perfect purity, has he constantly to undergo trials? And they answer, yes, but not such as you understand by that term. By the term trials, you understand only material tribulations. But when a spirit has reached a certain degree of purification, although he is not yet perfect, he has no more tribulations of that kind to undergo. He has, nevertheless, to perform creating duties which advance his own improvement, but there's nothing painful in these, as for example, the duty of aiding others to work out on their own improvement. All right, cool. Question 269. Is it possible for a spirit to make a mistake as to the efficacy of the trial he chooses? The spirits say he may choose one which exceeds his strength, and in that case he will succumb, or he may choose one from which he will reap no profit whatsoever, as for instance if he seeks to lead an idle and useless life. But in such cases he perceives, on returning to the spirit world, that he's gained nothing, and he then makes demands to make up for lost time. Okay. I know a couple of people like that. I wonder if they're going to demand to make up for lost time. Weird, huh? Okay. Question 270. What is the cause of the vocations of some persons and their spontaneous desire to follow one career rather than another? The spirits say, it seems to me that you yourselves might answer this question. Snark. Is not the existence of such vocations a necessary consequence of what we have told you concerning the choice of trials and of the progress accomplished in a preceding existence? Question 271. As the spirit in the wandering state studies the various conditions of corporeal life that will aid him to progress, how can he suppose that he will do so by being born, for example, among cannibals? Oh my God, you mean like the fine young cannibals, or? Oh. They answer, those who are born among cannibals are not advanced spirits, but spirits who are still at the cannibal degree, or it may be who are even lower than the cannibals. Lower than cannibals. That's like the next insult on the next Star Wars. Okay. You are lower than a cannibal. Sorry. You fool! Lower than a cannibal. It just seems so cheesy. Sorry. Okay. All right. He puts his 2 cents in. I mean, Allan Kardec follows up with a comment. He says, we know that our anthropophagy, what the actual fuck does that mean? Anthropophagy? I've studied anthropology and I've never seen this word. Okay. Continuing right along, we know that our anthropophagy are not at the lowest degree of the scale, and that there are worlds in which are found degrees of brutishness and ferocity, and have no analogues here in our earth. The spirits of those worlds are therefore lower than the lowest of our world, and to come among our savages is for them a step in advance, as it would be for our cannibals to exercise in a civilized community some profession obliging them to shed blood. Like what, in the Catholic Church, or among the Spanish conquistadors, maybe. I don't know, sorry, this is like a really ridiculous statement. If they take no higher aim, it is because their moral backwardness does not allow of their comprehending any higher degree of progress. A spirit can only advance gradually. He cannot clear at a single bound the distance which separates barbarism from civilization. And in this impossibility, we see one of the causes that necessitate reincarnation, which is thus seen to be really a consequence of the justice of God for what would become of the millions of human beings who die every day in the low depths of degradation if they had no means of arriving at higher states. And why should God have refused to them the favors granted to other men? Right, it's because they chose it. All right, question 272. Can spirits coming from a world of lower degree than the earth, or from the lowest of our human races, such as cannibals, for instance, be born among our civilized peoples? Hannibal Lecter? The spirits answer, yes, such spirits sometimes come into your world through trying to reach a degree too far above them, but they are out of their proper place among you because they bring with them instincts and habits that clash with the convictions and habits of the society into which they have strayed. Okay, and Allan Kardec writes, such beings present us with the melancholy spectacle of ferocity in the midst of civilization. For them to return among cannibals is not a going down, but only a resuming of their proper place, and they may even gain by so doing. Crazy. All right. Question 273. Might a man belonging to a civilized race be reincarnated as an expiation in a savage race? That must be what he means by savage race. This whole time he's thinking like cannibals. Now he's finally just using the word cannibals. Let's just think that's what he means, because otherwise it just sounds kind of rude and racist to me, but I don't know. All right. Anyway, let me read that again. Might a man belong to a civilized race being reincarnated as an expiation in a savage race? And the spirits say, yes, but that would depend on the kind of expiation he had incurred. A master who had been cruel to his slaves might become a slave in his turn. Yes. And undergo the torments he had inflicted on others. He who has wielded authority may, in a new existence, be obliged to obey those who formerly bent to his will. Such an existence may be imposed upon him as an expiation if he have abused his power. But a good spirit may also choose an influential existence among the people of some lower race in order to hasten their advancement. In that case, such a reincarnation is a mission. See, well, that's a little bit better, isn't it? All right, cool. We're going to go to the next chapter in just a moment. Relationships beyond the grave. Okay, sorry. Question 274. Do the different degrees which exist in the advancement of spirits establish among the latter a hierarchy of powers? Are there among spirits subordination and authority? The spirits answer, Yes, the authority of spirits over one another in virtue of their relative superiority is very great and gives to the higher ones a moral ascendancy over the lower ones, which is absolutely irresistible. Really? That's really weird. Follow up. Can spirits of lower degree withdraw themselves from the authority of those who are higher than themselves? Oh, and the spirits say, I have said that the authority which comes of superiority is irresistible. So they're saying resistance is futile, like the Borg. All right, sorry. Such a nerd. All right, 275. Do the power and consideration which a man may have enjoyed in the earthly life give him supremacy in the spirit world? The spirits answer, no. For in that world the humble are exalted and the proud abased. Read the Psalms. Oh, they're getting snarky again. He says, as a follow-up, in what sense should we understand exalting and abasing? The spirits say, do you not know that spirits are of different orders according to their degree of merit? Therefore, he who has held the highest rank upon the earth may find him in the lowest rank of the world of spirits, while his servitor may be in the highest. Is not this clear to you? Has not Jesus said that whoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and whosoever humbleth himself shall be exalted? Yeah. All right. Question 276. When one who has been great upon the earth finds himself occupying an inferior place in the spirit world, does he feel humiliated by this change of position? The spirits say, often exceedingly so, especially if he had been haughty and jealous. Haughty, H-A-U-G-H-T-Y, not haughty, ooh, H-O-T-T-I-E, not that one. Okay. Question 277. When a soldier, after a battle, meets his general in the spirit world, does he still acknowledge him as a superior? And the spirits say, titles are nothing. Intrinsic superiority is everything. Question 278. Do spirits of different orders mix together in the other? Maybe he means in the other world or on the other side. And the spirits answer, yes and no. That is to say, they see each other, but they are nonetheless removed. They shun or approach one another according to the antipathies or sympathies of their sentiments, just as is the case among yourselves. The spirit life is a whole world of varied conditions and relationships, of which the earthly life is only the obscured reflex. Those of the same rank are drawn together by a sort of affinity, and form groups or families of spirits united by sympathy and a common aim, the good by the desire to do what is good, and the bad by the desire to do evil, by the shame of their wrongdoing, and by the wish to find themselves among those whom they resemble. Sure. All right. And so he has a comment. He says, the spirit world is like a great city in which men of all ranks and conditions, seeing meet one another without mixing together in various social circles, are formed by similarity of tastes, in which vice and virtue elbow each other without speaking to one another. Interesting. Question 279. Are all spirits reciprocally accessible to one another? The answer is, the good go everywhere as it is necessary that they should do in order to bring their influence to bear upon the evil-minded, but the regions inhabited by them are inaccessible to inferior spirits, so that the latter cannot trouble those happy abodes by the introduction of evil passions. Question 280. What is the nature of the relations between good and bad spirits? The good ones endeavor to combat the evil tendencies of the others in order to aid them to raise themselves to a higher degree. This intercourse is for the former a mission. Okay, thanks. I just cannot keep my comments to myself, ADHD. Hey, Yoga Shaman here. All right. Question 281. Why do inferior spirits take pleasure in inducing us to do wrong? And the answer is from jealousy, not having earned a place among the good. Their desire is to prevent, as far as in them lies, other spirits, as yet inexperienced, from attaining to the happiness from which they are excluded. They desire to make others suffer what they suffer themselves. Do you not see the working of the same desire among yourselves? Okay. Question 282. How do spirits hold communication with one another? Answer. They see and comprehend one another. Speech is material. It is a reflex of spirit. The universal fluid establishes a constant communication between them. It is a vehicle by which thought is transmitted, as the air in your world is a vehicle of sound. This fluid constitutes a sort of universal telegraph which unites all worlds and enables spirits to correspond from one world to another. Question 283. Can spirits hide their thoughts from each other? Can they hide themselves from one another? The answer is no. No. With them, everything is open, and especially so with those who have attained to perfection. They may withdraw from one another, but they are always visible to each other. This, however, is not an absolute rule, for the higher spirits are perfectly able to render themselves invisible to the lower ones when they consider it to be useful to do so. Question 284. How can spirits who have no longer a body establish their individuality and cause it to be distinguishable from that of the other spiritual beings by whom they're surrounded? Good question. The spirits say their individuality is established by their perispirit, which makes of each spirit a separate personality distinct from all others, as the body does among men. How do you see a personality, though? Right. Question 285. Do spirits recognize one another as having lived together upon the earth? Does the son recognize the father, the friend, his friend? Spirits say yes, and from generation to generation. Follow-up question. How do those who have known each other on the earth recognize one another in the world of spirits? And the spirits say, we see our past life and read therein as in a book. On seeing the past of our friends and our enemies, we see their passage from life to death. Question 286. Does the soul see immediately on quitting its mortal remains the relations and friends who have returned before it in the world of spirits? And the spirits say, immediately is not always the right word, for as we have said, the soul requires some time to resume its self-consciousness and to shake off the veil of materiality. Question 287. How is the soul received on its return to the spirit world? They say, that of the righteous as a dearly beloved brother, whose return has long been waited for, but that of the wicked with contempt. Question 288. What sentiment is experienced by impure spirits at the sight of another bad spirit on his arrival among them? and impure spirits. Okay. They say, such spirits are gratified at seeing others who resemble them and who, like them, are deprived of the highest happiness, just as a band of scoundrels upon the earth are gratified at meeting with another scoundrel like themselves. Question 289. Do our relatives and friends sometimes come to meet us when we are leaving the earth? Ooh. And the spirits say, yes. They come to meet the soul of those they loved. They felicitate it as one who has returned from a journey of it, if it had escaped the dangers of the road, and they aided in freeing itself from the bonds of the flesh. To be met thus by those who have loved, that they've loved, is a favor granted to the souls of the upright, while the soul of the wicked is punished by being left alone, or is only surrounded by spirits like itself. Question 290. Are relatives and friends always reunited after death? The spirits answer, that depends on their elevation and on the road that they have to follow for their advancement. If one of them is further advanced and progresses more rapidly than the other, they cannot remain together. They may see one another occasionally, but they can only be definitively reunited when he who is behind is able to keep pace with him who was before, or when both of them shall have reached the state of perfection. Moreover, the privation of the sight of relatives and friends is sometimes inflicted on a spirit as a punishment. Okay, sympathies and antipathies of spirits, eternal halves. Eternal halves. Does he mean twin flames? I hope so. Question 291. Really, we're already there? Yeah, we are. Question 291. Have spirits special personal affections among themselves, besides a general sympathy resulting from similarity? They say yes, just as among men, but the link between spirits is stronger when the body is absent, because it's no longer exposed to the vicissitudes of the passions. Boring. Sorry, I just ADHD outburst. Sorry. Question 292. Do spirits experience hatreds among themselves? And the spirits answer, hatreds only exist among impure spirits. It is they who sow hatreds and dissensions among men. Question 293. Do those who have been enemies on earth always retain their resentment against one another in the spirit world? The spirits say no, for they often see that their hatred was stupid and perceive the puerility of the object by which it was excited. It is only imperfect spirits who retain animosities of the earthly life, of which they rid themselves in proportion as they become purified. Spirits whose anger as men has been caused by some merely material interest forget their dissension as soon as they are dematerialized. The cause of their dissension no longer existing, they may, if there be no antipathy between them, see each other again with pleasure. And so basically he adds his sentence after his comment says, just as two schoolboys, when they've reached the age of reason, perceive the folly of their boyish quarrels and no longer keep up a grudge against each other on account of them. Not a complete, but yet a run-on sentence. Sorry, I just shouldn't. Sorry. Question 294. Is the remembrance of wrongs that they may have done one another as men an obstacle to sympathy between two spirits? And the spirits say, yes, it tends to keep them apart. Question 295. What is the sentiment after death of those whom we have wronged? And the spirits answer, if they are good, they forgive you as soon as you repent. If they are bad, they may retain resentment against you and may even pursue you with their anger in another existence. This may be permitted by God as a chastisement. Question 296. Are the individual affections of spirits susceptible of change? And the spirits say, no, for they cannot be mistaken in one another. The mask under which the hypocrites hide themselves on earth has no existence in the world of spirits, and their affections, when they are pure, are therefore unchangeable. The love which unites them is the source of supreme felicity. Question 297. Does the affection which two spirits have felt for each other upon the earth always continue into the spirit world? The spirits say, yes, undoubtedly, if that affection were founded on sympathy. But if physical causes have had more share in it than sympathy, it ceases with those causes. Affections are more solid and lasting among spirits than among men, because they're not subordinated to the caprices of material interests and self-love. So, if you're a psychic medium, you know who your true friends are if they come to visit you after their period of readjustment is over. If they don't come to visit you, they probably just had a lust for you, not like a real a friendship and affection, possibly, right? That explains a lot. Like, after they die and I'm still living, if they don't come to visit me, I know who my true friends are, and I know who they're not. It's very weird. So far, my mother was never someone who actually loved me, because she never came back. Like, for example, I've been thinking about that. Like, but my adopted mother has come to visit me, and my grandparents. So, I don't know. I wondered about that. Okay. All right, question 298. Is it true that the souls of those who will eventually be united in affection are predestined to this union from their beginning, and that each of us has thus, in some part of the universe, in some part of the universe, his other half, to whom he will someday be necessarily reunited? Oh, yay! And then they say, no, there is no such thing as any special and fated union between any two souls. Oh, they don't know anything about twin flames. Union exists between all spirits, well, obviously, but in different degrees, according to the rank they occupy. That is to say, according to the degree of perfection they've acquired, and the greater their perfection, the more united they are. It's discord that produces all the ills of human life. The complete perfect happiness at which all spirits eventually arrive is the result of concord. I don't understand that. Concord. Like the grapes? I don't even know this word. All right. 299. In what way should we understand the term other half, sometimes employed by spirits to designate other spirits for whom they have special sympathy? And they answer, the expression is incorrect. If one spirit were the half of another spirit, he would, if separated from that other, be incomplete. Question 300. When two perfectly sympathetic spirits are reunited in the other world, are they thus reunited for all eternity, or can they separate from each other and unite themselves with other spirits? They answer, all spirits are united among themselves. I speak of those who have reached the state of perfection. In the spheres below that state, when a spirit passes from a lower sphere to a higher one, he does not always feel the same sympathy for those whom he has quitted. Question 301. When two spirits are completely sympathetic, are they the complement of each other, or is that sympathy the result of their perfect identity of character? And they answer, the sympathy which attracts one spirit to another is the result of the perfect concordance. Oh, concordance. I know that word. All right. The sympathy which attracts one spirit to another is the result of the perfect concordance of their tendencies and instincts. If one of them were necessary to complete the other, he would lose his individuality. Question 302. Does similarity of thoughts and of sentiments suffice to constitute the kind of identity which is necessary to the production of perfect sympathy? Or is uniformity of acquired knowledge also required for its production? The answer: perfect sympathy between two spirits results from equality in the degree of their elevation. Okay, question 303. May spirits who are not now sympathetic become so in the future? And the answer is yes, all will be sympathetic in the course of time. Thus, of two spirits who are once together, one may have advanced more rapidly than the other, but the other, now in a lower sphere, will by and by have advanced sufficiently to be able to enter the higher sphere in which the former is now residing. And their reunion will take place all the sooner if the one who was most advanced should fail in the trials he still has to undergo, and so should remain for time just where he is now without making any further progress. And the follow-up: may two spirits who are now sympathetic cease to be so? And the answer is certainly, if one of them is wanting in energy and lags behind while the other is advancing. All right. So, okay, his commentary at the end of this section says, the hypothesis of twin souls is merely a figurative representation of the union of two sympathetic spirits, and must not be understood literally. The spirits who have made use of this expression are certainly not of high order, and therefore, as their range of thought is necessarily narrow, they've sought to convey their meaning by using the terms they were accustomed to employ in their earthly life. The idea that two souls were created for each other, and that after having been separated for a longer or shorter period, that they will necessarily be eventually reunited for all eternity, is therefore to be entirely rejected. All right, we're going to stop there. We're going to come back next week with remembrance of corporeal existence. That is the next section. All right, so I don't agree with that. And so we don't know what order the spirits are that he's contacting. I do have a feeling that the spirits that were contacting him through all the different mediums, because even though the mediums didn't know each other, it doesn't mean he's not contacting the same exact group of spirits that are probably in sympathy with him from when he was disincarnate or non-corporeal, whatever. So maybe they are not in the highest of orders, possibly. Maybe they're in the middle, They might be the middle class spirits. Not class, but you guys know what I mean. I mean, it's very possible that these people don't know about twin flames. They don't believe in it. And, but I know that soulmates are real. And I know that we have hundreds of potential soulmates. Just, it's like what they're saying if you're in sympathy with someone. But a soulmate is somebody who incarnates with you again and again in order to help you complete missions, to help you complete different things that you want to get over or get through or whatever. And also, I'm very certain that twin flames are real. I mean, because so many people have come up with this same idea at the same time. I mean, somebody came up with this idea to me, said something to me about it. I'm like, I don't think that's real. I don't know. And I started looking it up and I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know. Then I found about 10 different websites on it. And then I found some YouTube channels. I'm like, this is very weird and very interesting. And then I went to a convention in Dallas, Texas, and I met this woman who said that I'm a twin flame and I have my twin flame is near. And then I walked by this guy who I didn't know what he looked like, but he is someone I'd been talking to on the phone for a long time. And I walked by him and my hair was covering my name tag, and his name tag, I think, was on a shirt underneath his coat, so I didn't even see his. And we walked by each other, and he said, Elena, I recognize your spirit. And I was like, oh my God. And we were together, and we hugged, and when we hugged, everyone in the whole room, it was like 2,000 people turned and stared at us because our energies were so vibrant. And then we hugged, and then it's like, wow, it was like a big light was being spotlight. It was so embarrassing and crazy. And he wanted to sit with me, and he's like, screw it, I'm not going to sit at my table. We were all assigned tables to sit at this travel convention. And I'm like, oh, well, come sit at my seat, And so I went over there, and there was a couple people that didn't quite fit in with our group somehow. Like they were, I don't know why they didn't fit in with us, but I think like maybe we're all liberals and they were the two Republicans at the table. I don't know what the deal was. I mean, we didn't not like them, but there was an energy that wasn't working somehow. They had come, and then they were like just complaining and rude and negative, and the rest of us were like all like really into spirituality. And like, this is so amazing, this is awesome. We're all like super high vibration, and the other two people were uncomfortable anyway. So I stood there and I said, oh, hold on, I'm going to clear up the table for you. And I stood there and I said a prayer, and the pillar came down around me and shone really bright. I felt it. And I said, God, if it's in it's in everyone's highest best interest, allow 2 seats to open up the table for my friend Clifton and his girlfriend, Amy. And I just like held my hands up, and I said the prayer, and I looked at everybody, and they were looking at me, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I was clearing a spot at the table for my friends. And then all of a sudden those 2 people came over, and they said, oh, we forgot our drinks, we're gonna go sit over there. And they didn't hear me say the prayer. Obviously I said it inside my mind. They just came over like 5 minutes later, took their stuff, and everyone moved over, and then my friends could sit with me. And somebody else said, oh, I think you're twin flames. You're twin flames. I'm like, well, I'm married. And they're like, it doesn't matter. It sometimes it's just a mission, but I think you guys are twin flames. And then I ran into somebody else. I went to the bathroom, and I came back on this escalator thing. And this guy comes up to me, and he goes, I'm an emerald ray. I think you're an emerald ray. And I could tell in your aura, you're a twin flame, and your twin flame is with you. I think, or are you going to meet him soon? And I was like, what the hell are all these people talking about? So I know that this is real, but I think it's really freaky that, I mean, like 6 different people over the course of like a week told me, in like 5 people over the course of 2 days all said the same thing to me, and they didn't even know each other. And some of the people weren't even at our table, didn't even know the rest of us. It was like absolutely incredible. It was like the guy who said he's the Emerald Ray, he says, you look like you have mermaid energy. And I'm like, oh my God. I hear that all the time. And he said, and look at the picture of my wife. She looks so much like you. Like, I swear to God, you guys would be like soul sisters if you met. And she's like you. She's got red hair. She's got green eyes. She's curvaceous. She's like a mermaid like you. And so he showed me her picture. I'm like, oh my God, she's like, she could be my sister. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, I really miss her, because was never away from his wife very much. And so for the 2 days, he's like, so can I hang out with you talk to you once in a while? And then he put me on the phone, and I Skyped with his wife, and we were like, totally got along like sisters. It was really crazy. But I know that, and I just feel like a lot of these people from the travel company, I feel like we're like friends in heaven. I feel like a lot of us are just like in sympathy with one another. We're just like, we want to do good for the world. We want to travel and have fun. We want to help other people. I mean, it was just a really amazing thing. But that's when I first got introduced to, and that was, gosh, I want to say 2006. And that's when I was first introduced to the idea and concept of twin flames. And I knew that the husband I was with was my soulmate. He was my long-term soulmate. We had been together many, many, many lifetimes, but before him and after him, I met a lot of people that I knew, that were my ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands, or people that I loved from heaven, people that I knew from other places, even people that I met from other planets, where I lived on other planets with them before. And in one instance, somebody I am right now married to on another planet in another dimension. And I went and I saw us. My soul, like I kind of astral projected there, and I saw him and I saw myself, and we are in a world where we telepath with each other. There's no verbal communication. And, so I've been a part of so many different like things, and I mean, unless I'm completely freaking insane, I'm pretty sure this is real. And a lot of people that are psychic are getting the same higher guidance information that this is real. So I want us to take this book, the Spirit's book, with a grain of salt, because we don't know what part of the higher order spirits he was calling in. This might be his spiritual group, and he wasn't meant to know this information yet. You know, or maybe this information wasn't ready for the world yet, because it's particularly troublesome. Sorry. It's particularly troublesome when you believe you are a twin flame and your twin flame is not incarnate, and you spend your whole life looking for somebody who doesn't exist on this level. I mean, this plane of existence in this dimension. And it's like particularly hurtful. You know, there's that song, if you can't be with the one you love, baby, love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. You know, and I feel like I love my twin flame, obviously. Everyone does. And I know he's incarnate right now, but we're not together yet. And, you know, I just met somebody who is super interesting. And if we ever get around to having a second date, he's been really busy with his work, traveling. He travels for his work. But if we ever have a second date, there's very possible we are going to be very much deeply in sympathy with each other as spirits, right? You know, from a soul level. I feel that. I mean, other men have been interested in me, but I feel like zero pull. So I feel like, how are they so attracted to me? And I feel like what they just described, like sometimes it's just, you know, of a fleshly nature. Like that's the only thing they really give a crap about. And if they die tomorrow, they're not going to come back and visit me in spirit form because they didn't care. The love wasn't real, right? So I'm not saying these other guys love me or something, but I've been approached recently by 3 or 4 different people. One person, he's really lovely. He's just a very sweet person. Just a big, big heart. And he's a single father raising 3 kids. And he seems like an amazing human being. But I'm like, to be honest with you, I don't have the inclination or the time or the energy or the patience to raise 3 small children plus my own teenager. I don't think this is going to become a thing, right? If someone came to me and they were a father and they have 2 teenagers that are almost grown like mine, not a problem. But this guy is like, 11-year-old, I think a 9, 11, and 13. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the energy. And God bless them. And plus, I don't think I'm good enough mom to maybe even, I just can't do it, even though I might love them dearly. If I met them, I probably would. They're probably very sweet kids, but I don't think I'd keep it up day after day after day. I mean, every time I take a test, I took a test, to see if I'm on the spectrum, because I've been thinking about that again. And again, I test very much positive for, yes, I'm on the spectrum. I get 71 out of like 88%, or whatever, or I don't know. It wasn't even 88 questions. I have no idea why they scored that way. It was ridiculous. But but basically I'm, like almost 90% yes, I'm on the spectrum. And I just don't have the ability to communicate clearly on a personal, emotional level all the time. I do my very best. But to try to communicate clearly with someone in a foreign language, to me, it's just not going to work out, And I wish this person well. He's a total sweetheart. I hope he finds his love that he's looking for. But I don't know. It's like I don't feel sympathy, in that way. And I've met a few different people, and I'm like, no, I think these people are just looking for a good time. More often than not, that's usually what it is, or they're bored. One guy said something that was insulting and sexist, and I pointed it out, and then he said he's bored of the conversation. And I'm like, if you think that my conversation is boring, then obviously I'm not the right one for you, because I'd rather have a communication first than because it's not me. I just don't do it. I mean, I'd rather be celibate forever than to be with somebody who isn't going to have any kind of love or concern or caring or, it's like if I get sick, I would want someone to be at my bedside to help me, and if someone's not going to be that for me, even if it's just friendship, then I don't want them in my life, because, if my friend is sick, I'm going to be at their bedside. That's just me. I would be there and I would help them. And I mean, I've held the heads of people as they throw up while they're getting over heroin. I held this young man in the streets as he cried because his parents were killed in war. I held him in my arms on Christmas Eve and just told him how much his parents are watching him and proud of him and they love him, and talked him out of killing himself. I mean, I've had some really, intense experiences like that. It's like I'm there for my friends, even if they've been my friends for 5 whole minutes. So I need somebody like that, obviously, but I need, someone who's obviously in sympathy with me, like you do, like everybody does, like we all do, and so this stuff is interesting. I liked this. Tonight's topics were really interesting, in spite of my snarky and crazy comments. I've had all kinds of ADHD today, just like blah, but I also had candy today. I went to this store next door and I found this maple. It's not maple candy. It's like, it smells a little bit like maple, but it's actually sugarcane candy mixed with a bunch of walnuts. It's so good. It's like a taffy sort of thing. But we went to the store today, bought a bunch of vegetables, and I feel good because I have, food in the house, and we have enough food to eat for the next 7 days or something. So we're like, this is really cool. Look at all the food we got. This is really, really nice. And, so I'm a little bit riding on a high. And then one of my favorite shows is Atypical. Great show if you've never seen it, on Netflix. And so my son and I were able to sit and watch that together for a couple episodes. And it just feels nice to be able to sit and do something with him. And every few 20 minutes or so, we'll pause it and then we'll have a conversation for an hour, and then we'll go back to the show. And, and I like that kind of relating, where it's like we're watching something common and then it brings up something and that sparks a conversation. It's kind of interesting, and I like that. But anyway, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't want you to hear that and go, that's it, not watching the show anymore, not listening to the show anymore, because I don't always agree with everything this guy says, and I don't always agree with everything that the spirits say, because I have my spirits that I speak to, and they all say that twin flames are real. And it's not just me, and it's not just my ego wanting it to be real, because it's kind of a pain in the arse, to be honest, trying to find that one person out of 7 billion freaking people, when there might be a perfectly lovely person down the street or next door or, across town from you, when that other person might be 3 continents away. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. And then you have to perfect yourself to the best of your ability so that you could come back together with that person. Oh my God, so much work. And then when you do get back together, it's even more work. It's even more perfection of each other and yourself. It's even more and more and more and more work. So I know it's true. So I don't want you guys to be alarmed that, oh my God, everything I believed is not real. It's like, just because this book says, you don't have to believe the book, and you don't have to believe the spirits. And, just because the researcher says that, because he heard from the same spirits through 5 different humans, I think it's the same spirits following him around over and over and over again. And maybe it's possible he was not meant to know that information yet 162 years ago. This is all new information coming out to humans now, so I don't know. I mean, we've heard it from aliens, we've heard it from ETs, we've heard it from even, I think, Jesus. Mary Magdalene was his twin flame, So I don't know. It is an idea that Aristotle brought up first. The idea of one soul existing in 2 bodies. It's particularly romantic, isn't it? But even if you are a twin flame, everyone is a twin flame on the whole planet. Everyone. Doesn't mean some people are special, some people aren't. There's most people, like 95% of people, do not have their twin flame incarnate, because your twin flame is on the other side and they are assisting your spirit guide in loving you, constantly sending you, beaming you love and light constantly, because they love you, which is pretty awesome. But when you become aware that you have a twin and you haven't met them yet, is really, and they're on the earth now. I mean, I'm super impatient. Maybe that's the ADHD. But it's hard to know that, to have that information. It's like, man, are you serious right now? So now I'm going to look for a needle in the freaking haystack when there's like a million men out there. And women, you know. And, you know, am I always going to feel slightly incomplete with all those people until I meet the guy? I know he's a guy because I've seen him in my dreams. I mean, I'd be happy if he was a woman or if she was a woman. I mean, I'd be equally as happy. It doesn't matter to me. But, you know, I know it's a guy because, you know, he's appeared, his handsome face has appeared in my dreams. So, I don't know. It's pretty crazy stuff. And he does telepath with me quite a bit. So hopefully I'll meet him soon. And if I don't, in the meantime, love the one you're with. You know, so we'll see. I mean, if this person I just met recently and went out with, if he's going to be in sympathy with me, we're going to become very good friends at the minimum, which is good. It's good. I like it. I like him. He's a nice person. You know, so it'll be cool. But I really want my twin. And if you're my twin listening to this, damn it, call me. Write me an email, metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. Oh, and by the way, if you guys have any Santa Claus stories or Hanukkah miracles or anything to do with the holidays, especially Diwali is coming up if you're from India listening to this. And by the way, I wanted to say a big shout out to my British fans, my listeners over in Great Britain. Thank you guys for putting me on the iTunes map, if you will. I made it to the list on iTunes. Woo! It's so incredibly hard. You could get on the list and then 2 days later, completely off the list. When I was in the Philippines, I was like number 5 out of like the top 250 podcasts in my category. I was like in the top 5. I was like number 2 or 3. And then all of a sudden, like 4 hours later, I was like number 98. And then 2 days later, off the list. It's so hard to stay on the list. So if you guys have iTunes, you're listening to me through iTunes, I would appreciate if you took just like 2 or 3 minutes and just put a good review just to get me back on the list. And also it'll help me to get more listeners. And that's like my biggest goal right now is just growing the podcast so that I could support myself financially with this within 1 year. Because in like 11 months, I lose my death benefits to raise my son. And we're going to be stuck in a foreign country without a way to support ourselves. If you guys, can help me with that'll be helpful. I'm still doing my own advertisements, and Jenner Deal is still on the case, and Jenner, you're the best. And so I am getting help, and I'm grateful for those of you that are helping me with this, because I don't know. I studied marketing for 6 years, and I'm completely flubbing it. I don't know exactly what to do. I'm putting out an advertisement to 5,000 people every single day that, you know, like they get a new 5,000 people for 2 weeks. Every single day get my stuff, and then every 2 weeks they get another advertisement from me for a whole year. You know, I've got banners up. I'm doing marketing, but I don't know how effective I'm doing. I'm doing okay. And then those of you that are listening to me, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Send me your stories if you've got them about spiritual occurrences that occurred around the holidays, because I want to have some special shows. One minimum, maybe 2 or 3 shows if I can about that, because holiday miracles, they do happen. Santa Claus is real, but if Jesus appeared to you around Christmas time, that'd be interesting to hear. Anything about it, it doesn't matter what religion you are, or even if you're not religious. If you've had anything around this time of year occur, even if it's a Thanksgiving Day miracle, something, I want to hear all that kind of stuff. And so, well, there you have it. I'm done for the night. I need to go sleep. I love you guys, and I hope that you guys remember to tuck your cocks back in. Turn your clocks back an hour. Sorry. Hey, yoga. All right, well, that's it. I better go before I say something worse. All right. All right. Signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace out. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.